Peace, family. This is my second time trying to record this video, so I hope that it saves. This keeps happening to me, so I think I'm recording on my phone now instead of the computer, and hopefully that works. Anyway, so the title of this video is "The Enemy Wants You to Be a Good Person." Okay, I'll say that again. The enemy wants you to be a good person, and the enemy wants you to want to be a good person. And the reason is because people who want to be good people are going to make choices that put the preferences of other people first, even if it's to their own detriment. Okay? Um, so, like I said in previous videos, the way that the enemy used to do this was there were certain systems of, rules, morality, and order. Whether it was school systems, church systems, um, family culture, um, social pressure, all sorts of things that have changed, I would say, like in the last 40 to 50 years. Um, Sorry for saying so much, but anyway. So it's like these systems, they used to be about self-development and maintaining loyalty to a specific moral code or rules that made sense for social emotional development and family bonding and social engineering, I guess. But now I feel like these systems, and they are certainly not perfect, they certainly have their problems, but now these systems have become corrupted, um to the point that it becomes difficult to trust. Well, I'll get to that in a minute. Okay, so this is what I'm trying to say. These systems that we used to abide by, they have become deviant. Okay, church, organized religion, school, family culture, all of that shit. It's become deviant to some degree. And people are trying to figure out a way how to kind of like get out of these systems, but still keep what's good. Still, and there's that word, good, but keep what matters to them. Okay, and keep that part alive. So lately you've got all these people, you could call them star seeds or chosen ones or the 144,000 twin flames, goddesses, divine feminine, divine masculine, whatever you want to call them. These people are the prison breakers and they're the truth tellers, and they are like opening people's eyes to the deviance of these systems that we don't want to be caught up in anymore. So it's like we've broken out. Like this has been a generation or a few generations of people who just refuse to uphold the status quo, and they have chosen to make money in different ways, make family in different ways, form bonds in different ways, worship, different ideas of God. All sorts of things have just kind of like broken the system wide open. And that's cool and everything. However, the problem to me is that now everything that was considered wrong within those systems, it's like it's what's wrong, what's right versus wrong is in question because those systems are in question. So it's like now people don't know right from wrong because the systems that told them can no longer be trusted. And so, people say common sense ain't common, but common sense did used to be common because people were involved with systems that had the same rules, so people commonly thought and operated the same way. But now, morality and what is right and what is wrong has become subjective because everyone is deciding what's right and wrong based on an individual level. It's like everybody's a free agent, right? So instead of acting in a way that shows that you're like devoted or obedient to an idea that is bigger than you, that now there is nothing to devote ourselves to except what we want to hold on to. And so I feel like what we want to hold on to and what has become mankind's new religion is goodness. Everybody considers themselves to be a good person. But it seems like being a quote unquote good person is based on how well people like you and how well you get along with other people. Okay, because it used to be that you could like disagree with people because you still adhered to the same system. So, if the disagreements, there was only so far that they could go because people still operated like in these clusters of commonly held thoughts, opinions, beliefs, feelings, about major things for the most part. But now that's all broken apart. So there isn't that like social glue that holds people together anymore. So the way that people remain together is by agreeing with each other, but we can't agree with each other on a systemic level because there are no systemic levels anymore. Those are crumbling. So now it's like about how you agree with each other personally, how you agree with each other's choices, and how you agree that the other is a good person, how we agree that we're good people. So it comes to the fact that like people will consider you a good person by how well you agree with their idea of themselves as a good person. And to the degree that you don't agree that they're a good person is to the degree that they think that you are then a bad person. Yeah. You have to agree with people's like personal decisions in order to have camaraderie with them. So it's like personal preference has become the new battleground for spiritual warfare because you're not allowed to have personal preferences anymore and still be considered a good person because everything is supposed to be acceptable. Everybody is expected to go with the flow. So if you say that something does not work for you or that something does not, like something goes against what you feel is innately good for you, and if someone else feels like that they do that and that they want to be considered a good person, so by you disagreeing with what they do, then you're disagreeing with the fact that they're a good person. Like everything is just so immediate and personal. There's no distance anymore for ideas about what should or should not be acceptable. And if there were religions or systems that dictated what is right, what is wrong, what should be acceptable, what should be acceptable, as soon as you start saying should, people say that no, that's outdated. We don't do that anymore. We don't say should anymore. Everybody can do whatever they want. Everybody can do everything. What's modern and what's acceptable is to accept everything. And so what happens is this just becomes like a slow chipping away at people's personal standards or their boundaries because we're being bullied into accepting everything. So it's like the enemy's new ploy is to be our ally, right? To be our friend, to blend in with us, to make sure there's no difference between us and them, meaning that whatever is good for us is good for them. And it's to the point that if you don't like something that someone else likes, like I said, they identify their opinion or stance with their person. So they feel like you're saying you don't like them because there's just no larger systems to house these energies and these ideas. Everybody is taking shit extremely personally. So I'm just saying this to say this, okay? I'm not putting any judgment on this. But if you resonate with what I'm saying and you've been nodding your head and you're like, yep, I feel that too. Okay, this is my advice for you. You have to be sure that you're dealing with people that want the same things that you want in terms of their human experience. Okay? And what I mean by that is, so for me, for my personal human experience, I feel like there's a scripture that sums it up very well. It says, "Blessed is the one whom the Lord corrects. So do not despise the discipline of the Almighty. For he wounds, but he also binds up. He injures, but his hands also heal." So what that take that to mean is don't be afraid. Like, it's okay if you fuck up. Like, it's okay if you have experiences that gain wisdom. It's okay if your journey is not perfect. It's okay if you experience hardship. In fact, I am a person who personally, and I'm trying to break myself out of this, but I kind of lean towards hardship, like head first, because I always want to get the lesson. To me, that is the most important thing. And if you live an easy, unexamined, unchallenged life, then you have not grown. So for me personally, I'm interested in this life to be about growth, but everybody doesn't feel that way. So you have to make sure that you're dealing with people, like if that's important to you, you have to make sure that you are dealing with people who, for them, growth is the most important thing. Because some people, they're not interested in that. They don't want God's correction. They don't want to take that spiritual walk where they learn right from wrong, because that takes sacrifice. It takes transformation, which can be painful. It takes walking through the fire to realize that God is not going to let you get burned. So the way that you kind of know people who are like you from people who are not is the people who are not like you, if you resonate with this, is they're not going to want to be corrected or criticized. They're going to want to be comforted in what they've already decided to do and in who they already are. And they're not going to want you to challenge that. So instead of you saying like, oh, I think if you do this, you could be a better person, they're going to say, right, but I need you to tell me that I'm a good person if I don't do that. Like, or I need you to tell me that I'm still a good person if I do these things that I know are not good things or that I know will hurt people or whatever like that. Like, some people just want to be validated and justified in being exactly who they are, and they want you to consider that goodness with no other prerequisites or requirements for goodness except what they consider good in the moment that they consider it good. Okay, and nice and civil. Yeah, so I feel like just in terms of like spiritual knowing, spiritual sense, kind of like a spiritual common sense, this new trend is a little alarming to me, and it feels dangerous because what's happening is that the people who kind of stand for something, those people are the ones who are being villainized. And there are scriptures that kind of speak about this. Like for instance, Matthew 7, chapter 7, verse 13 through 14. It says, enter through the narrow gate, for wide is the gate and broad is the road that leads to destruction, and many enter through it. But small is the gate and narrow is the road that leads to life, and only a few find it. So for me, this just kind of, like whether you follow the Bible or not, there is something to be said for kind of like a sheep mentality where everybody feels like they need to be agreed with in order for it to almost like uphold their idea of self, to uphold their self-esteem. People don't have solid ideas of themselves beyond how they want to be considered. And so it makes it very difficult for people to like challenge certain narratives and stand up for certain things, because then they feel like it's a personal threat to themselves if they're not considered a good person, if they're considered a troublemaker or something like that. I hope I don't know if that's exactly what I want to say, but I think that y'all understand what I'm trying to say. So I'm just saying, like, this is not to say that you condemn anyone either for like what they choose or who they choose to be. I'm not saying that we should be like more judgmental or that we should like get in people's business or police people or no shit like that. Hell no, that's not what I'm saying. But I'm saying that there is a difference between condemning others and swallowing your own convictions. Like, it's okay to have convictions. It's okay to feel strongly about certain principles that are important to you. And there's a difference between using those principles to police other people or just having your own preferences for how you want to conduct yourself, for how you want your life to go, for how you want your energy to feel, for the people that you want to be around, for the situations that you want to be in. It's okay to have preferences for that. Because it's kind of coming to the point where we can't really be neutral anymore, because all these little preferences add up. So if you have a specific direction for your life, it is going to require going against the grain sometimes to say like, no, I'm not going that way. Like, I'm not doing that shit, It's okay. And sometimes people are going to look at you like, what's wrong with you? But I feel like it's okay to be considered a bad person if it's from the perspective of good, quote unquote, good people who they just only want what, like, thinking what they think is good is what makes you good. You know what I mean? Like, those are just people who their earthly aim is just to please themselves and to have other people please them, which is like a whole nother, that's a video for another day. I wasn't even trying to get into all of that, but it is interesting to me. So yeah, that's pretty much all I wanted to say, y'all. Thanks for listening. Peace.